evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening I decided to try and discuss something that is new to me, but not, I think, new to everybody else. Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs had a show one time. Let's see, where was it? It was episode 9 in the 6th year, or they call it the Collection 6. And what he describes through most of the show is people like me that are a generalist. You know, we've all been taught we should specialize because it pays better. From what Mike's talking about, that's actually not true. Not always, anyway. So, anyway, Mike did the television circuits. He's been on Bill Maher, and he's done TED Talks, and he reiterates the same thing. There's a huge gap of employment in this country. Now, we've got a lot of unemployment. It's better than it was in 08, 07 when it started, but we've got a huge gap. But the biggest problem with this gap is there's a whole bunch of unemployed people, and there's a whole bunch of employers looking for people that they can't find. How's that possible? There's job shops everywhere, there's temp agencies, there's employment, there's headhunters, there's everybody. But this gap exists. These employers can't find people because we've been, in Mike's view, we've been brainwashed into thinking that it's not cool to get dirty. That was the whole premise of his show, right? Dirty Jobs. In one of his interviews, what he didn't talk about in the show is a lot of these people that got dirty were millionaires. Didn't bring it up. Didn't want it to be part of the show, but it's a fact. Because they got dirty when nobody else wanted to. And consequently made a lot of money because nobody else wanted to do that kind of work. So, this gap, these employers can't find these people. And it's because there's not a lot of emphasis going into trades anymore. There hasn't been for a long time. Get your college education. Well, get your college education. I didn't go to a trade. That's perfectly okay. But the trades are just not getting as many people. It's actually shrinking. And these poor employers, he was talking specifically, Caterpillar, Las Vegas, had 26 openings. Started at $40,000, $50,000 a year, which for Silicon Valley's okay wage. Not great, but okay. And in a couple of years, you end up at $120,000. Now, working on cats is a big deal because that's really big equipment. But it pays good, so why not learn how to do it? So, anyway, they had 26 openings, couldn't fill it. That was last year. I don't have any current status on that, but that was one example. And Mike's a really good resource for that kind of stuff because in his 300 shows of Dirty Jobs, he had worked in all 50 states. 300 shows means 300 employers he worked with, minimum. He's testified in Washington, D.C. I think the man knows what he's talking about. Now, for me, what all this comes down to is I've been a lab rat for most of my life. But I also know how to do real work and real labor, I should say, because everything we do for money's work. And I had an example come my way recently. There's a company here in town that wants me to design a very simple circuit board, very tiny. And I just can't bring myself to do it. I'm good at it. I don't want to do it. I'm burnt. I'm done. I'm tired. Besides all my health crap, I'm burnt. So, granted, when you feel tired, you don't want to do anything, and I think that's a big part of this. But last year, before I had this health downturn, I was working 7 days a week. And I know at least one of those days was a 24-hour day. Lots of 20-hour days, lots of 18-hour days. Did that a lot. Now, what happened last year? Well, we seemed to have nailed down my thyroid treatment at that time. That was great because I found a job that brought out a great deal of passion in me. And the passion was for my complex, my neighborhood. We're not on the worst side of town, but we're right next to it. And when the dear sweet man that managed this complex was in the hospital dying, I dived in because that was a responsible thing to do and try and get things rolling. And I found out a lot of things about this complex that weren't okay. And I dived in, I worked like a dog. I had a very steep learning curve in the beginning. That's where those really long days came in. And then as I learned about what needed to get done and how to do it, then doing it required an awful lot of work. I've got a great deal of written history showing these insane hours that I worked. And it turns out in California you're not allowed to get paid less than minimum wage, and I was paid significantly less than minimum wage. But that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so Mike Rowe's show that he had back in, I think it was 2010, about generalists, it struck me so hard that while the show was occurring, I actually took a notebook and started writing stuff down. And his show's over now. He's moved on to other stuff. And you can find some of this, little pieces of that particular episode on YouTube. And I've gotten to rewatch, probably a third is available. You'd have to probably buy the disc off of Amazon or something to watch the whole episode. But started refreshing my memory of what a generalist does. And while I'm not officially educated, I have a very wide plethora of skills, and I'm all self-taught. Probably mostly because of my hobbies. That's the pattern in the past. I have a very technical hobby, and it teaches me great skills so that my professional life is enhanced. That's happened over and over again for decades. So even though my dad was right, he said you shouldn't probably try and make a living at your hobbies, my hobbies severely enhanced my ability professionally. And also being hobbies, I do hobbies for fun. So it always helps when I can employ part of my hobby in my work, because it makes it more fun. At Apple, when I had to make cycle fixtures for laptops to exercise all the various features, I used model helicopter parts. And my boss really loved it. He thought it was awesome. And that's how he always introduced me to people that didn't know me. This is a guy that uses the helicopter parts. Well, it was cheaper, better, faster, right? And it did the job perfectly. So I've been doing that for a lot of years, and I've always enjoyed that part of it. So for me, I guess what I'm learning is these people want me to design a tiny little circuit for them. It's easy. It's really easy. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired, and I'm tired of it. So I got to figure out what I need to do for income. Because I've learned something. I don't need a job. I need income. I'm not 20 years old anymore. I don't need to learn how to punch a clock every day, be on time, be responsible, don't take 2-hour lunches. Yeah. I got all that. I'm old enough for that. But I need income. Got to survive, right? Got to pay for the condo. So the goal is to find income. I've known conceptually for years that multiple sources are better than one source, because previous generations to us would work mostly one job most of their lives and retire on that, right? Some of the companies I've worked for, major players, don't have retirement plans. You do your own 401k, or you just tough. That's all there is. So multiple streams also provides more reliability over time. make sure something doesn't happen, because retirement plans in this country get screwed around with. And if you have multiple sources, at least if one of them goes away, you still have something coming in. So anyway, I think that's better for me. So I monetized my YouTube channel. I've been posting lots of videos on it, and this one's the first one that's about me. Yeah, my channel's about me, duh. But it's more about what I do. A lot of it, and my blogs are it's for my own record. All that electric vehicle stuff I've done for years, I'm not going to remember all that stuff, so it's in my blog. I can go look it up. It's got a great search function, and then I'll find it. Oh yeah, that's what I did. Okay. And that kind of data is very helpful, because every now and then something comes up, like recently. These poor people have this electric car, and they spent 5 years themselves working on it, and a couple other groups couldn't get it running. They spent $5,000 to try and get it running. They finally found me at the end of all this and said, hey, what should we do? We tried a little bit, but they finally said, look, you want the car? So I bought it for $1. And, you know, I've been working on this stuff a long time. I'm rusty, but I had it running in about 6.5 hours. So now it's on Craigslist, and I'm going to get it sold and go take a small trip. Go drive down and see my dad and his wife, and see Arizona and Southern California. So, but I have to sell the car first. Anyway, that's an example of working with electronics, but it had a huge payoff. You know, I'm still burnt on it, but I got through that one. This one with the board, you know, it'll lead me to other tasks with these people, but it's not really an income stream. It's just it leads into something maybe. And I just think basically, unless there's something really heavy-handed right in front of me, I think I'm not interested in it anymore. And I learned this last year when I was working all those long hours. I found that I was sick and tired of going to my garage and having the water from the gutter dripping on my head every single time I went to my garage. Guaranteed. Rusty, dirty water. So I got a crew over here, and they looked at it, and they took me up there in their scissor lift, and it was all rusted out. And across the way we noticed their shingles missing and dry rot, and you could see through the siding into, seeing people's drywall in their rooms. And I'm like, okay, this has got to get fixed. So it exploded geometrically. We ended up having to do the whole complex. And I had to run 5 different crews doing different tasks all at the same time. It was a lot of work. And I loved the hell out of it. It was great. These guys are all pros, are really good at what they do. But they all got to be, you still got to quality check the work. Because even the good guys screw up. They miss stuff. And I want to make sure, because I was responsible to 144 owners for spending their money appropriately. So I would go back and say, hey, you need to fix that. And we wouldn't get billed for that. And I ran 5 crews at the same time. Man, it was a lot of work. My phone was ringing constantly. I was in and out. It was a lot of work. I loved it. I loved working for these guys. Technically they worked for me because I signed their checks, but I worked for them because I don't know their job, but I know what it's supposed to look like when it's done. That I did know. So I need to do something like that again. A great deal of socializing, interacting with people like me. I've dealt with a lot of PhDs in my life and scientists and things, and yeah, that's okay. But I think I'm innately more comfortable in the blue-collar crowd. And that's what I need to find. So part of this trip I want to take is to make sure I'm keeping my eyes peeled for some work I can do. Now, I'm not a heavy lifter anymore. Can't do that because I'm heavy. And just, See if something pops up while I'm out and about. I might be gone a week, maybe not that much. Who knows? It's not really a plan. It's more about not overspending the little bit of money I get for this car. Anyway, I'm trying to be, instead of doing the same old thing, which is, get signed up with a bunch of job shops, apply for jobs, talk the talk, and try to get in and get a job, I'm trying to find something more that I really want to do. Running these crews, and I did a lot of the work here too. I did a lot of painting, a lot of board work, trim. I operated lots of tools. I brought crime down a lot. I installed an entire video security system by myself. Well, a young man from high school over nearby high school, he helped me a lot, and he's very cool. But it was basically just me. And I found out what I could really do when I had the energy to do it. It was shocking. People hear me tell these stories and have in the past, but there's no way of making it clear like it is when you're actually experiencing it. So I'm hoping, oops, I lost my light here. I'm hoping that I'll keep hunting for work in the normal channels. Okay, fine, I will. But I need to find something else because I'm really tired. My thyroid is not letting me have very much energy, and I don't want to misspend what little I have. So I need to try and find something. So I'm going to go on a little trip, see what I can find, enjoy myself a little bit while I can. So today was kind of a realization for me that being a generalist is a huge asset. I didn't make it through college. I don't have that. I just can't get through college. But I'm very learned. I know a lot. I got a huge skill base. And that makes it a lot of fun for me because there's almost nothing I can't do. I just got to find the right job that taps into those a little bit. Doesn't stress me too much. And I can enjoy it. Part of the secret of making it through that job last year was I could take a nap whenever I needed to. That was huge. For somebody that only sleeps 5 hours a night, having a nap made a difference I've always been suspicious of but never knew for a fact. Now I know it for a fact. Extra sleep turned me into a machine. And I'm way into my 50s. And I could run circles around anybody. It was awesome. So I need to get that back. I need to find a job that's a good match for me as a human being with the skills I have. And where I can make a difference. That was a big deal, making a massive difference to people's lives. When I got the job and some people pulled me aside and said, "We've had 3 grandmothers mugged in this complex," I got real upset. That was somebody's grandmother. All 3 of them. How's that okay? So I went after that sort of thing, and I was successful, and that's why I lost my job, because people don't like being held accountable. And they all ganged up on me, and out I went. That's okay. I know who the bad guys are in this story. I absolutely know for a fact in writing. So, but I learned a lot about me, and that lesson, as hard as it was, I will carry forward with me and find something, some great venture to get involved in, or ventures. I like having things broken up, doing different things. I'm not a production guy, I'm a prototype guy. And I build very robust prototypes of whatever I build. Putting in this camera system, I'd never done it this way, and nobody else had ever done it this way either, but it worked. So I got to find something like that. That's what I got to try and do and get done here in the next few months. So this is my YouTube channel, and there's tons and tons of technical stuff on here. And it interests me a lot. So hopefully there's people out there that like it as well. and maybe they'll subscribe, maybe they'll like it, maybe they'll comment, who knows. But I got to give it a shot. I got to give it my best shot. So anyway, this is my lab. You can see all my stuff behind me. This is where I live and breathe and enjoy myself. So anyway, I will let you know what I find. It's quite an adventure. I've got some work to do on me, and maybe we'll find in the future some answers. So if you are at all interested in this channel, please sign up. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. It's okay. No big deal. Anyway, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.